Good late Tuesday, early Wednesday. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center right now, giving you a look at those current temperatures across the across the area at this late hour. You can see 54 toward areas like Keystone there, 53 around Tallahassee, 56 in Albany. I know where I'm at here east of Stark. We're sitting here at 47 degrees. So definitely temperatures here that are above average for this time of year as we're looking across the region right now. I know it definitely pales in comparison to what we were seeing there back in January. We had 17 freezes here where I'm at in my rural location east of Stark. That really does tell a story, and it's very significant, something you don't see very often. And now we traded those below average temperatures, those freezes, in for above average temperatures and fog. I mean, the above average temperatures, that's pattern here kind of helps to have that fog around here. You know, we kind of seeing some of this later in December, and now we're back into it. And it's looking like we're going to stay above average for a good bit here in toward the long range, over the next days and, maybe even weeks here. So that's kind of storyline. I know in the 7 day, it's definitely going to stay above average there and getting into like 8 to 14 days. It's looking like that similar story should persist. We might have a little bit of a cool down here or there, but at least, over the next couple of weeks, it's staying very warm. I know something that we had last year, not talking about last month, but last year at this time, was some hail around actually. We even had some tornadic activity. It was a very odd pattern to develop on February 4th, 2024. So I'm going to go ahead right now and pull up some video from that. You even hear the hail in the background on this. So just going to go ahead and kind of look at this here. I mean, this is pretty dramatic video. I mean, just kind of tells that weather story here. I mean, we're just kind of looking at it and seeing what we're talking about here. It was something. All those different reports around here and the like. So again, just looking back here 1 year ago in weather history, I mean, just again kind of showing you this hail. I mean, it's just something, to really behold here because Roy hadn't seen much hail east of Stark over the years. Caught on camera a year ago on that February 4th, Sunday, 2024. So again, kind of showing you some of that, but back again to the conditions right now, you do see what we're dealing with here locally, and we're always watching out for our 62 counties. No severe weather expected over the next several days. Maybe a rain chance here or there, but here's our covered map. I know I'm in Bradford County here, and just one of the 62 counties, obviously, and we're always watching out for you, the latest weather dangers here and the like. I know, again, locally, no severe weather expected. We did actually have some severe weather alerts earlier, though, on that Tuesday out west. I mean, I'll kind of say you what's left of that now here on our other source. So I'll come back onto the camera now, and I'll say you this. I mean, you do see some rain out there, but earlier on we had some severe thunderstorm warnings around San Francisco. And the light, that was pretty substantial. You see all the reports. This is just going back 4 hours on the radar technology. You see flood reports, wind reports, damage and wind reports. I mean, it's cooling off some now there in the Bay Area, but definitely don't get those severe thunderstorm warnings around there too often. But we do get severe weather this time of year in parts of the Midwest sometimes, and the Southeast and the like. And as you're looking ahead toward that Wednesday here, you can see we do have a threat here for some isolated tornadoes. It's not a big threat, but it's not zero either here. The afternoon, the evening hours, you can see from Jackson, Tennessee, up to areas in toward Kentucky, like Madisonville. And I mean, getting up there, getting all the way to the northeast, part of this, getting toward some of the areas there, like Pulaski County, Kentucky. I know that's not one you guys maybe are too familiar with. I'll zoom in a little bit more. You see, not too far away from Lexington with that, even on the northeast, portion of that. But then as we look here, southeast portion of that, Cookville's in there, and southern central portion, Nashville, Tennessee. So some isolated tornadoes a possibility. There's also a wind damage risk, part of the marginal risk here. So that's kind of your overall concern here. You see Bowling Green, Kentucky in there, Elizabethtown. It's just kind of giving you guys the idea here on that. It's cool in some of the areas right now in the 20s. But there could actually be some lightning later on, even in association with some ice, an ice storm warning as we're looking toward areas around portions of Maryland, like around Hagerstown there. Also getting in toward areas there like Altoona, Pennsylvania, even in toward West Virginia as well. I mean, some of those communities impacted by this, so we just have to be kind of mindful. Some lightning with some ice there accumulating. That's not exactly what you want to hear, but that's not out of the question as we're looking at things. There's cold temperatures, precip, and then, ice concerns with maybe, thunder sleet or something like that. We'll see. But again, just kind of an intriguing weather storyline. Nothing to turn the logo red for, but still for those local communities, a big deal. As we're looking at the national weather picture, but not a huge, just override national story. It doesn't look like right now, but we'll watch the super weather threat, roll into toward parts of Tennessee and Kentucky in case something escalates a little bit. But again, one more time, looking at this risk here, you can see some of the areas all get into western Kentucky a little bit. I mean, you do see like Murray, Kentucky, Murray State University in this, getting there. Some of these other communities involved, Bowling Green, we have Western Kentucky University. It's just these areas under pretty low risk, but it's not zero, so we're going to be watching. Of course, Nashville, those, Belmont there and the like, Cookville's Tennessee Tech. It's not a huge severe weather day that's anticipated, but something to definitely pay attention to. I know around Nashville, you have Lipscomb as well, but again, talking about universities there and colleges. But as we go ahead and look at things in terms of the graphics, let me go ahead and switch on over because this kind of continues that weather storyline a little bit here. You can see as we look at this rainfall forecast here over the next 7 days, a lot of precip expected in some of the areas in Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, of course, some could be ice, Mississippi, Alabama there. And then you get toward our area a lot lower expected overall. Southwest Georgia, though, toward the Big Bend a little bit. We need to rain. We're going to get a little bit here, especially later in the 7-day period. We have a little bit higher chance, and past that, we might have to start getting higher chances for precip here because we're going to have, efforts here in the overall pattern to maybe try to get a little bit of cooler air in here from time to time, but not necessarily looking at any freezes here anytime soon. That average date of the last freeze, in some areas is around now, give or take. So, it's always possible we can have freezes even in April around here, don't get me wrong. But, right now there's nothing that looks like a freeze in the, foreseeable next couple of weeks here, give or take. So that's something to look at here. I know you have the interactive radar available at clutter.com/radar as we're looking at things. And then let me just go ahead and kind of show you here right now some more information on that fog. Let's go ahead and just pull that up. If you guys are just tuning in, parts of the area under a dense fog advisory. So you see some reports of some fog in Perry, Bainbridge, Tipton, over toward it looks like Douglas there, and even getting further back south. We have Williston and Ocala with some dense fog. Some of the others could have that are in between, fog that's not considered as extremely dense, but still, noteworthy. But this is where it's, extremely dense. I mean, we're talking about in Bainbridge, fog there at a fourth, a mile with the visibility in play because of it, a half a mile in Tipton, a fourth of a mile in Douglas, half a mile visibility in Perry, Williston's at a fourth of a mile, and Ocala Airport at a half a mile. Just putting temperature to line so I can look at some of these. Keystone's actually showing 10-mile visibility right now, but we'll be watching, days to come even. Some of these mornings, just periods in the morning, things can change. I mean, 10 miles in a lot of these other areas like Brunswick and the like, but that fog threat as we get to the morning, the days to come, is something that we're going to be paying attention to here in toward the Weather Center for sure. That's a pretty big storyline, and we're going to see the tips on that here, how to be safe and all this here in just a second. Let me go ahead and put on our coverage map, though. Just again, we already kind of say to this, but we're in Bradford watching out for the 62 counties and keeping you, updated on any severe weather, but that's not expected here next week as we're tracking things. I know those fog safety tips here as we're dealing with things, you do have to be careful out there. I mean, it's better than severe weather. It's better than tornadoes, but it's still something that can be deadly here as we're looking at hazardous driving conditions due to low visibility. So slow down and give yourself extra time to reach your destination, okay? You got to be careful with this as we're looking at things. I know you got to make sure your vehicle is as visible as possible to other vehicles by using those low beam headlights. You need to leave plenty of room between you and the vehicle in front of you. I know this stuff is just always so important to keep an eye out for here. That fog potential, that is something that can be very hazardous out there as we're looking at things, as we're tracking the overall weather situation. So that's one of the storylines that we're talking about here as we're looking at things, that dense fog. Let's go ahead and move along though to show you that extended forecast now, again, going from 17 freezes in January to now February. We're not that far away from Valentine's Day as well. And we're watching that forecast here in the light, but dense fog remaining a concern in this current pattern. I have it for the next, 4 nights, we're at right now at night. It's last morning, as we're looking at things, next 4 nights, last mornings, at least with this concern, but it could go even longer. And, this type of pattern, we have these above average conditions. We had all that cold air. We had, a pattern here that was really below average. Now, this is the type of air, these warmer readings, and just kind of seeing some different contrasts going on that can, cause this fog to be prevalent. So you see 80 degrees here for that Wednesday, 81 on that Thursday, 80 on Friday. So again, this is very warm air. This is warm weather. This is feeling more like spring, what we would see here in March or April around here in our neck of the woods, and it is February. But you can see rain chances pretty low here as we're looking at things. I mean, have it get up to 30% though, as we get a little bit further out here in the period. But this is that warmer air, beach weather here overall. Just be careful with the fog, of course, and the beaches can have that too. For sure, you can have sea fog around at times, but parts of the day, it's nice to, get out and, go to that beach and get out in that sun. Try to enjoy things. Of course, you always got to keep in mind that too much sun exposure is not necessarily a good thing, but some, definitely can be beneficial here for some. So again, just kind of giving you guys the latest with all of that as we're looking at things, as we're tracking the scenario here. I know it's just, you see these averages, I'm kind of stepping over right to the side, but you see 66. Instead, we're seeing 80, we're seeing 81, 78, 77, give or take. This is some warm air here, folks. This is what, again, you see a different time of year. So it's kind of like the storyline here for sure. That it's a big contrast from that, especially. I mean, we were seeing back in January. I mean, I'll look back here at this. We were seeing going back here. Let's see, what date was that? I mean, we're seeing 80 now for highs. This not even been 2 weeks. I mean, we had 36 for the high on the 22nd, and then the next morning 29 and 23 on the 24th. 21 for the low on the 25th, and now we're seeing, conditions you would see much later on. I mean, we were in the, really coldest part of winter, and now it's like spring. I mean, this is weather sometimes you can see here around us. You're almost getting into May. I mean, the very beginning of May, you can see temperature not that far off of this. So, I mean, this is bizarre, but it definitely happens around here sometimes. This contrast, you get the cold air and then you get the warmer air, and you just warm up around here. But again, the fog is the concern. But this is nice weather. We do need some rain. I think we're going to get some, but a little bit better about it here in the, a little bit medium range per se. I know those have different, types of just, phrases here in terms of the connotations, medium, long range. But I'm talking about like past 1 week here, like next Wednesday, give or take. It's looking like, if I had like a 10-day, we'd have higher rain chances. We'd have like 50% or something. And going out even further, a couple weeks from now, some of the models have really, up their level of rain here. not saying it'll be a flood concern or something, but we need some rain, and hopefully it's looking a little bit better that we'll get some here in the month of February, because we can't go too long without precip, or that drought concern start to creep back in as we're looking at things here. In toward the weather center. I mean, it's just always intriguing here to look at the weather, as we're tracking things. I know that FSU basketball game was tonight in toward Tallahassee. And I'll just go ahead and see here the map around there. Have my Garnet and Gold when they had a win, and they had a much needed win against Notre Dame, and head coach Leonard Hamilton. He is going to be leaving at the end of the season here coming up. After over 2 decades there as the head basketball coach for Florida State, he's won multiple Coach of the Year awards. This year and the last few haven't been quite as great, but I mean, think back to 2020 there, and they were on the verge of a really great tournament run. Could have easily made the Final Four or even something better in terms of maybe winning a national title for the first time ever in men's basketball. But of course, COVID shut everything down. But they were, just a great team. Finished the season number 4. No, the year after tournament was back, and they made the Sweet 16. And he also made the Elite 8 in his career as well. But Coach isn't all about on the court, off the court. He's had some great accomplishments as well. He's talking about in his press conference tonight. Graduating pretty much all the players there, almost all the players over the years that stayed, for 4 years, and he's just so proud of that accomplishment there in Tallahassee. And as I know, watching his games, I know some went his way, FSU's way, my alma mater's way. Some didn't, but congratulations on a great career. Miami, he was a coach there in the 90s. He was at Oklahoma State before that, at University of Kentucky, won a national title under Dobie Hall as an assistant coach. And what a career, starting as a coach in the early 70s, 1971. And congratulations on a great career for the 76-year-old. So, again, that's kind of a storyline there. Got the rest of the season. Maybe we can make a run in the ACC tournament. It's going to be tough with Duke being so powerful in the conference to actually win the ACC tournament and get that auto bid to the NCAA tournament. That's probably the only path here at this point. But, they could win that ACC tournament there coming up next month, and get past Duke, or if somebody else beat them, then get that bid and maybe have a chance to win a game or two in March Madness. But FSU women's basketball, looking like they're going to make the tournament, and they're doing really good this season here, and they have some key games coming up. They've, been in that ranking there this year, a lot of those weeks in that top 25. So, again, keep up the great work for the women's basketball team. And for the men's basketball team, again, congratulations to Leonard Hamilton on a great run, a great career. And he's got about a month or so, maybe a couple months to go. They could always make the NIT, you never know, or something along those lines, and then have a run in that. So keep it going a little bit longer, and then, of course, a new coach will be coming in, and wish them the best of luck as well. But as we go ahead and look at things here, see what else we need to talk about as we're tracking things, just watching everything. We do have this kind of a sad thing we have to talk about here, and that's those, terrible plane crashes there up in the D.C. area, in the Philadelphia area. Just thoughts and prayers to everyone impacted here. It's a very difficult time. So many fatalities and some injuries as well in that Philadelphia situation. So my thoughts and prayers to everybody impacted here during this difficult time. So sad to have to mention that here. It's such a key story as we go ahead. And key stories, I mean, they're separate, of course. And that one plane, actually, the one in Philadelphia there, that one actually went across parts of our area. That plane did medical helicopter, per se, medical plane. I don't have the exact terminology, but what it went across St. Johns County earlier in the day. It was coming from South Florida before it went up there, and it was scheduled to go out to Missouri later on. But, this terrible, terrible loss of life, terrible tragedies in those. But again, as we're looking at things, we're tracking them. I think it's about time to wrap things up for tonight. I know seeing those warm conditions. That's been the story. I could go on and on about those, but this is what we see this time of year, and these type of patterns. With that is that fog. So you got to just be mindful of that here, for sure, as we're looking at things across our area. So again, that'll do it here for tonight. We'll be back late Thursday with another update. Unless we need to pop back in earlier for something nationally. Again, no local concerns here. Definitely in the next 5-6 days. We'll be watching next Tuesday in case may have to introduce a chance for some stronger storms by then. But we're on Facebook there, Casey Cloud WX, Cloud Weather. We're on Twitter there at Cloud Casey there, Twitter/X. So not just Facebook, Casey Cloud WX and Cloud Weather, but Twitter/X there at Cloud Casey, YouTube there. Yeah, that's at Clouds Weather, Twitch Clouds Weather, and then cloudweather.com. So all the different platforms will have you covered in cloudweather.com. Has all those different links here available for our coverage here, our different platforms. And you have that interactive radar available on cloudweather.com. You also have some forecast model and information you can kind of look at as well. So some of that interactive information, those interactive features. So that's going to do it here for tonight. I think we've covered everything we need to as we're tracking things here. Quite a few things I wanted to cover. But that's going to do it here for tonight. I hope you enjoyed the update here. But of course, there's a lot of fun stuff here in the weather with the warmer air, beach weather. Gotta be careful at the beaches, of course. This is not a time of year a lot of people will go. It's still pretty cold to actually get in the water because those water temperatures really took a nosedive here with all that colder air back in January. So don't get me wrong, it isn't like just go out in the water and just be out there for hours and hours, but going to the beach and maybe getting that tan, something like that. That could be something that some folks might want to do. So that's going to do it for now. Hope you have a great night. And we'll be back here late Thursday with another update. And just for now, stay safe out there. I know that Super Bowl coming up on Sunday. It's inside, though, in New Orleans. So weather shouldn't have an impact for that as we're looking at things. But that'll be something that folks out there, maybe tailgating, will be keeping an eye on here. But right now, nothing that was really showing up too big of a deal in terms of some big severe weather pattern or anything on Sunday, but in terms of anything toward Louisiana. But we'll keep our eyes on things all in the weather world. For now, have a great night.